Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's up, Rally? It's not a victory Monday, but is it a misery Monday? I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel right now.
I'm not even going with misery Monday, brother. Let me tell you something. We went up against a juggernaut and albeit lost by 7 points. We lost, but we didn't play as bad as I've seen other teams play. And everyone said that this is a measuring stick for the Commanders. A lot of people said, don't use that term. Well, point blank period, it was a measuring stick. And we fell a little short, but the fact is, I'm happy with our squad. We didn't lay down like some other NFC East teams that I'm not going to mention, but we know who I'm talking about. They laid down. We fought until the last second, and I'm very proud of my team. No other team in the NFC East or in the NFL for that matter have pretty much gutted their player base to what, 35 people, 35 new players coming on board, something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, two-thirds of the roster's new. We got all new coaches. I mean, everything is new at this point.
So I'm not upset. The only thing that I'm gonna say is we know where our deficiencies are. Will they make some changes mid-season? I don't know, but we know where the deficiencies are. We can make changes. And once again, the beautiful thing about this, Ted, is it's ever evolving. We saw two healthy scratches that, for the life of me, I didn't see, but they're figuring it out and trying to put the pieces where they may be. So, and we'll talk about those healthy scratches later. But the fact is, there's nothing wrong with them. But obviously, they don't feel, or they didn't feel that for this team, they would have cut the mustard. So they kept them on the sidelines. So, no, I'm not upset. Of course, I want to win. Of course, I want to win. Of course, I want to win. But how we took that L, we competed. And that's all we've ever asked from our squad is don't lay down. And Dan Quinn did not allow our guys to lay down. And we lost by 7 points.
Yeah, didn't cover the spread either, depending on when you got it. I got it at 6.5, and then it moved to 7, and then it kind of went back and forth and stayed there. Cybert cost me some cash, but hey, it's fine. I'll cut him some slack because he's won us a couple games. But before we jump into the game, so I didn't get a chance to go to the rally. I had a bunch of people texting me and asking if I was going to be there, and I didn't want to reply to them because I didn't want to influence if they were going or not. And
I appreciate that.
I wasn't going just because I was never going to this game. Right. My family got me tickets. Seriously, appreciate that 1,000 times. But we had guests coming to town for the holiday weekend, and the wife booked plans. Away game weekends are not my weekend. It's Mrs. Tailgate's weekend. So we went to the Kennedy Center and went to go see some stuff and sat in line for 25 minutes to go look at a bunch of paintings. That is not my idea of a Saturday, best believe.
You sure?
Yeah, 1,000%. So I'm wearing my Daniels Quinn 2024 t-shirt from Breaking Tea. And none of these, I don't want to say none, but a majority of these people standing in line at the National Gallery of Art, they're not sports fans, right? So they're staring at my t-shirt like, who's Daniels Quinn? It's not Trump Vance, or that's not Harris Walls. Like, what's this guy wearing? And I could literally see people like asking their friends, like, is this like a different election that we don't know about? Like, what's going on here? It was actually hilarious, man. But I did see videos and pictures of the Baltimore rally. How'd it go, man? Because you and I were going back and forth, like, are Washington fans really going to go? Because it's not really an away game, even though it is an away game.
Yeah, and big shout out to everyone that showed up. We had, believe it or not, I'd say 250 to 300 plus people that were there, give or take. And I'm like you, went back and forth and said, okay, you know what? It's Baltimore. People live hypothetically in Virginia. They live in different parts of Maryland, D.C. Will they want to drive all the way up to Baltimore, go back home, and then come back to the game? Well, you know what? Shout out to everyone that did, because I'm here to tell you, You guys did a great job. We had 3 live performances, actually 4 if you want to continue count Rev T with his sermon. Shout out to Rev T. I gotta tell you, man, DJ Woody O Goody performed Left Hand Up. DJ Mellow T performed Commander Stomp. We had DC Master Chief. He performed Commander's Song. I mean, and then obviously Rev T. So we had a lot of hometown talent that was featured at this rally. And a big shout out goes to the Hard Rock. Let me tell you, you couldn't have asked for a better backdrop of the city of Baltimore in the background. We were right on the water. They did what establishments, in my eye, are supposed to do for when a person is asking to uphold hold a rally at a location. They spared no expense, and I really want to thank Dave from the Hard Rock for bringing it together for us because it was a great time. And shout out to DJ Chuck B. He did a wonderful job as well. As I told everyone, he also is going to be the DJ for the New Orleans rally. That information will be coming out. But getting back to Baltimore, shout out to the Hard Rock as well. Let me tell you something. Parking was $30. All right, 30. The Hard Rock said, you know what? Listen, you guys are coming here. I'm going to give you guys basically a comp for $23, and we're going to make this parking $7 to help you guys come. I made that announcement, and people lined up to get there. I wish wish I would have taken a picture of everyone that showed up to get their parking comped. So once again, big shout out to the Hard Rock. You guys, you're a top shelf organization.
No, that's awesome, man. It looked like a blast. I didn't know you had all those people performing. I'm bummed I missed it, man. It's gotta maybe find a way for you to just set up your GoPro or something and then just stream the entire thing, man. Just make people
I'm working on it.
realize
I'm
what they're
working on that,
missing,
Ted.
right?
You brought up a good point. I'm working on that for the next one because hey, man, we're ever evolving, and for the people who can't be there, who want to be there, we're ever evolving, and so we're gonna have it played at least on 2 different platforms. One is going to be Instagram, and I don't think X does a live, do they? I don't
No,
think
they
X
do.
does live.
Yeah,
They
they
do.
they got a live you can do. Yeah, there's you're not gonna take it offline, but yeah, you can do it on
Okay.
Insta, you can do it on X, you can do it on YouTube. So there's ways to do it. I have people asking me, it's like, man, I can't make it or I'm not going to be able to get up there, but I kind of, I want to see what's going on. And hey, it's another way for some of these bars to be like, y'all gotta actually, step your game up a little bit because this is what the Hard Rock was doing for my man. So see kind of what's going on.
And let me say this also for these other bars, if you will, and I'm gonna touch upon some behind the scenes, if you will. We've talked about it offline, but I'm gonna tell our listeners that, and you guys might not even know this, but a lot of times these bars want from $5,000 to $20,000 to hold an event at their bar. And me and Ted we've always said, I don't get paid by the organization, guys. I don't. Now, will that money get paid? I try my best not to, but it's behind the scenes that you guys need to understand what goes on so that, you know, maybe you'll be able to appreciate it just that much more to understand that I don't ask for anything from anyone. All I want you guys to do is enjoy. Come enjoy yourself and fellowship with other Burgundy and Gold members. That's all I ever asked for, and you guys did it in Baltimore, and I greatly appreciate it.
It looked like they did, man. It looked like they enjoyed it. And hat tip to you. I'd tip it if I was actually, here you go. I got one sitting right beside me. Hat tip to you. It looked
I
like a
appreciate it.
blast. And if we didn't have the guests in town, I would have been there. But talking about maybe an enjoying experience. So I don't know. It's people knock Northwest Stadium, right?
Yeah,
And okay, well, we all got a chance to go up to M&T Bank this weekend. Those of us that made the trip. Parking, bro. I know you stayed at your hotel and you stayed downtown. For those of us that did not have parking, passes were going for upwards of $400 for a parking pass. I am
I
not
saw one for
talking,
5.
Yeah, it was insane, right? The amount of cash slots they have out there is minimal. So our guests from New York, they were catching a bus immediately to go back up to New York at 5 o'clock after the game. So I'm trying to find a place where we can park that was within walking distance. They had to go. Pulled up to the Hard Rock. Okay, you could park at the Hard Rock for $100. I didn't want to
Jeez.
do it. They're like, okay, well, they paid for parking. We parked there at the Hard Rock for $100. The cash slots out at Northwest, $50 right there. So I'm sorry, I'm giving Northwest a checkbox right there in regards to their parking situation. It's a lot better situation, right? I'm just going to fast forward a tad bit to leaving Baltimore after a game. I hear so many people bitch and complain about leaving Northwest. I'm sorry. You guys need to go to Baltimore for a game and see what the hell it's like getting the hell out of that town. And there are so many different arteries to get out of Baltimore, but it was ridiculous, man. I went to the Hard Rock after because I'm not in a good mood, right? We end up losing the game, obviously. I
Yeah.
sit in my seats and I stayed there for maybe 30, 40 minutes after the game because I just don't want to deal with all the craziness in the concourse. And the Ravens marching band is actually pretty damn good. And they were right beside my seat. So they're playing songs from the Killers, Blink 182. I mean, actually, it was starting to turn my frown upside down
This is after the game.
after the game. So they're playing
Wow.
that,
Okay.
and they actually had on the Jumbotron, they had the Bucks game and the Saints game going on. And you can, still sit in your seats and hang out. So I ended up walking back to the Hard Rock, and I saw that Little Nucci was performing, who does the front porch stuff on
Yeah.
so he was performing at the Hard Rock. So I went to the Hard Rock, and it felt like the Commanders or back then Washington football game against the Raiders in Vegas. Right, the
Mm.
stadium, the Hard Rock was packed full of fans. Regardless, everyone just sitting there hanging out, just kind of enjoying fellowship. And I waited. This is now 2 hours after the game because they gave me a slot machine voucher if you park there. So it costs $100 to park, but they give you $25 voucher to play like a slot machine or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
I ended up actually making $50 on it, so ended up making out.
That's not bad at all.
But this is now 2.5 hours after the game. And the Hard Rock, not Hard Rock, the Horseshoe, for those of you know, is right there next to the highway. Bruh, still packed and could not get out at all. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I don't want to hear people bitching and complaining. Like those of you that think we have it bad, pull a rally every once in a while and just travel to an away game, right? The grass isn't always greener. We actually are lucky when it comes to, on top of that, I think our tailgating environment is better. I'm not saying that just because I'm biased. I don't want to have to tailgate underneath an overpass, right? It just, the entire situation just kind of going around the lots. I mean,
Yeah, bro. We've been trying to tell them this, and we're just gonna touch base just for a brief second. Everyone that wants it at RFK, you're gonna be similar to what you were like in Cincinnati, what you're like in Chicago, what you're like in Buffalo. I'm not sorry, not Buffalo, but you're like in Baltimore. It's gonna be that way. You're gonna be cramped. So we want nostalgia, but just understand you're gonna be cramped. And Ted, you hit it right there on the head, man. It took me a long time to get out, and they may have arteries, but everyone's trying to do the exact same thing in each of those arteries. So you get clogged. So now I feel what a heart attack is really like in the traffic aspect of things because I couldn't move. I mean, they had to resuscitate everybody to get out of there. I mean, I felt bad for somebody who was in an ambulance. I mean, that ambulance couldn't move at all. So if they were dying, they may not have made it. I mean, prayers goes up to them or whatever that ambulance had his lights going for. Maybe he just wanted to get through the traffic. I don't know, but they didn't move basically until they could make way. And so just count your blessings, guys, because Northwest Stadium isn't that bad. We got our own problems, yes we do, but like Ted said, when you go to another stadium or another city, you see exactly where they fall short and we rise.
yeah. I mean, inside the stadium experience, It was fast as hell to get inside, at least in my gate that I walked to. I know a
Hmm.
couple of my boys from Hill Barbecue, they sent me pictures of their line. It took them a while. I actually like the ambiance. It reminded me of a baseball stadium walking around the
Hmm.
concourse. I kind of got that feeling. I mean, our feeling at Northwest is kind of sterile. There's not a lot of character to it, but the in-game experience, and I think ours is going to come, but the in-game
Oh yeah.
experience with the stuff on the jumbotron, the old big bald white dude they kept putting on the screen to spell
Spelling out
Ravens
Ravens.
out.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I wish they would do that with you, man. I really wish that they would. Granted, you probably couldn't spell out Commanders unless it was halftime or the 2-minute warning, just because it takes too damn long. But, I wish they would do something like that with you, or like you and a mix of like some of the other super fans that dress up and just everyone recognizes, because it's something that just gets the fan base hype. And we don't have those traditions at our stadium.
There's so many things that they could do, but for whatever reason, just don't want to reach out to the people who, in a sense, have built this. The fans have built this, and we know what we like to see. That's just how it is. And one of the things I like about the Ravens guy, the bald guy, the big beard belly bald guy, is when they weren't loud enough, he said, "Oh no, 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 no." Took his shirt off and re-emphasized, "This is what you need to," and they got louder for this guy. And I said, "That's pretty cool." Now I ain't taking my shirt off and my chain off. I'm not doing all that. I have too many problems with Miss Captain to begin with, so I'm not gonna go that route. I don't need any more heartthrobs. You know what I mean? But but yeah, he took his shirt off, and it got him even more hype. And they said Ravens, even cheer for Ravens even louder. So I just couldn't believe that, man.
I couldn't either, but it's just I wish, and it's going to come as we start winning more and fans start coming back more, and you've got more regulars. A couple people actually tapped me on the shoulder, and I was walking around trying to find the tailgate I was going to, saying, "Ted, what do you think about during the national anthem? Everyone yells 'Hail' when that comes up as a verse of the national anthem." And the team actually asked me about that years ago. I just don't know, A, if I like it, because I can't stand when fans scream "Oh" during the Star Spangled Banner. That drives me crazy. I think it's disrespectful. I think you just listen to it and sing along or whatever else. But some people want to start yelling "Hail" during the Star Spangled Banner. What do you think?
Oddly enough, Ted, people asked me the same thing yesterday, and I can say that I won't do it because I'm rendering a salute. When the national anthem is played, I render a salute. A lot of people put their hand over their heart, whatever have you. I render a salute and I'm quiet. That's my time I give back. I don't say a word. So I'm not gonna knock someone if that's what they want to do. Just understand, for me, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm locked in on the flag. I'm giving my salute, and that's just me. I understand that Baltimore, they're I got it. So that's their tradition. That's what they want to do. So if by chance someone does pick it up and they start throughout the stadium, I'm not gonna be mad at it, but just I won't be participating in it.
Yeah. Well, actually, that reminds me of a guy that you and I talked to at the tailgate. And shout out to Drew Cohen for throwing a heck of a
Oh,
spread and
sure.
having. And hey, for all of you that reached out asking where I was tailgating, I'm sorry. It's not on me to invite you guys to this guy's tailgate. Drew had top shelf everything, crab cakes, oysters, Rockefeller. I mean, he threw down a
Yeah.
serious amount of loot to host. And I cannot invite you guys to this thing because he's not taking cash. And he's also not the type of guy that's going to turn people away. And I just did not feel comfortable telling everyone where I was going to go hang out. But walking around, man, I saw, and my coming home from the game last night, when I got home, basically it was responding to everybody that reached out on social media from sending pictures and then muting everybody on social media that pissed me off. And when I say that, it's because I sent out a tweet that was said, Commanders Nation is rolling deep in Baltimore, and yes, I meant Commanders, I saw for the first time more Commanders gear than Old Name gear out at a sporting event. I mean,
Yeah.
it was unreal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Jayden jerseys. It was Terry jerseys, right? And there are some people that had some John Allen jerseys, like the black jerseys, stuff like that. But regardless, and it wasn't even jerseys, man. It's just t-shirts, whatever. There was just so much Commanders gear out there.
Apparel, yeah.
It was freaking awesome. And it wasn't from a bunch of like younger kids. There were older heads that were rocking this too. And then I had a bunch of people reply back and say, "Oh, you're just woke, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not true. It'll never be." And then there was a guy that walked up that said, "Do you think it's going to go back?" And I don't want to get into, the conversation that I had, but I'm just saying from seeing what I saw today, and I know I'm not the only one seeing this, and we've talked about it multiple times. This is the first time just out in public that I feel that there's a movement. And best be sure, regardless of what's happening now, it's staying.
Oh, yeah. And like you, I mean, I swear people must find you and then they find me or vice versa. A guy asked me the same thing, and 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 my standard answer is no, they're not going to change it. But if by chance, and I always say this because truthfully, I don't know, you don't know, we don't know, but just my personal opinion and mine only. If it's going to change, it's going to change if and when we get a new stadium. I've said that, and I'm going to continue to say that. But for the most part, I don't believe it's going to change. I believe it's going to stay the Commanders, and it's going to be one of those things where you'll still, if you want to wear your old gear, you wear it. No,
Yeah.
no one is trying to get you to do whatever. It's going to be Commanders. But if you still want to rock the old name, rock it. Do you? That's the world we live in. Be happy that the team is winning. Whether you praise the old name, the new name, the Washington football team name, whatever you go with, just be happy that that black cloud is finally lifted and we are winning. And who would have thought that after 6 weeks in the NFL, the Washington Commanders would be leading the division?
Zero
Who would have
chance.
who would have thought? Exactly. So put all that other stuff behind you and just embrace this right now.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
I mean, 4-2 right now. And we both took us to beat the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
I thought we
I was
could.
still torn. I just, but I also didn't want to pick us to lose and then be at the game and then just be super bummed out. So it's like, all right, you know what? I think we got a shot here, right? I think we got a shot to actually do this. And I think we did until it came out that B Rob was a no-go on Saturday.
Yeah.
And not having B Rob just was freaking, it was too big a hill to overcome. Right. We saw what happened with this offense without Brian out there. And no offense to Austin Eckler, but he is just not the same type of running back. That's not what he does. He is not a between the tackles, grind him and wear him down type of RB. Like
Yeah. He's not a
Derrick
hammer.
Henry
Yeah.
is a grind him, beat him down type of running back. And I mentioned this, years ago. It's like you had Tiki Barber and Ron Dane. You had that thunder and lightning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we were missing the thunder, right? We had the lightning. We didn't have the thunder this past week. And Jeremy McNichols, good kid, good running back. He is not the same type of bruiser that B Rob is, right? So they didn't have to. And I went back and I rewatched the film again because I was sitting in corner end zone and it was harder to see certain plays and this and that. So I went back and
Mm-hmm.
watched every single offensive snap. And you could tell that they just did not respect our run game. And they said, okay, fine. If, Eckler and so are able to run on us, then great. But we are not going to give you wide open plays so Jayden can hit those down the road. You beat
Mhm.
us on the ground, which we know you can't. Sorry, you beat us in the air at that point because they did not stack the box against us. They were just getting stops against this run offense on our side. And it was frustrating to see because the offense was really, really lackluster, which is what we've been used to the past 4 weeks.
Yeah, anytime that you don't have that sledgehammer to break up that concrete so that you can move the little pieces around the way that you normally are used to, it's harder for you. And you've got to go back to the drawing board on some of your plays that you could focus on, but now they know that about those plays. When B Rob was in, you didn't know whether you get a pass or a run, but you kind of
Yeah.
felt that you were going to get a lot of passes with Eckler and McNichols, and so be it, we did. Um, and hey, once again, we're just 6 games into the season. We're still learning. Everyone's learning each other. I believe that Cliff is going to go back to the drawing board and he's going to scratch his head and look and say, okay, you know what? Gee, man, if I had to do it all over again, I could do this or I could do that to put us in a better situation. So, well, you know what, Ted? I'm really not upset with this, brother. I'm really not. And everybody knows that the captain wants to win. Yes, but I'm truly not upset because we've got a chance to do it all over again and against those doggone Panthers. And I can't wait for that. Can't wait.
Let's save the Panthers talk for Wednesday because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little
Oh,
worried
no, no
about
doubt.
it.
No doubt.
And I keep hearing everyone saying it's not a moral victory, right? It is what it is. We stood toe to toe. I don't feel that we stood toe to toe with the Ravens. I feel that it was a very lopsided game. We were never truly in that game other than, the first quarter. We had chances. We had that interception. We hadn't had an interception all year, right?
Hmm.
And Sanders Mikey ended up getting
We've
that
talked about
ball,
it. We've
but
talked about it. Yeah.
not turning that there were missed opportunities, right?
Hmm.
Walking away with 3 instead of 7, huge missed opportunity, right? We could not convert on third down, big missed opportunity. We were 3 for 6 on third down in the first half. Ravens were 4 for 6, right? There were just certain spots that we just weren't efficient. And defensively was just it was a show what we did on defense. I mean, the Ravens had 248 net yards of offense in the first half. I'm not talking the entire game. I'm talking the first half. They had
What do we have?
a buck 97. We had 145. So they had 100 yards more than us
More.
at that
Yeah.
point, right? And we just we had the worst timing to play our worst game in the secondary. I mean, BSJ, he was getting picked on, and he's supposed to be our best corner. He's our most seasoned corner, but he just got picked on. Zay Flowers, I want to say, had 7 catches for what 111 yards in the first half. I mean, we did not. Yeah, no. Flowers was 9 targets, 9 receptions for 132 yards, according to this, in the first half. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just we were so worried about stopping the run. Our defensive secondary were on islands at that point, and I get it. You got to do what you can, but I feel that they didn't scheme it up enough. I felt that it was very transparent what we were doing. You could tell if we were in man, you could tell if we were in zone. They didn't seem to shift coverage, and Lamar just picked us apart. If we were in man, he just waited for that crosser to come open eventually. If we were in
Mm.
zone, he just waited for that guy to just sit and find that hole in that zone. And then eventually, well, I think I took a shot of this. Mark Andrews beforehand had, let's see here, 2 catches for 12 yards a game before Sunday. That's what he was averaging,
Two
right?
catches.
2 catches for 12 yards before Sunday. He had 3 for 66 and a touchdown. I mean, and his longest was 38 yards. Like it's the defense let the offense down, but the offense also did not sustain drives. And to me, that's really what happened where we were driving the ball before. We had a chance. And I feel that Robert wouldn't have had as good a year in 2012 if it wasn't for Alfred Morris's running.
No doubt.
Makes me
That
wonder
yeah.
if that's going to be the same with Jayden, because games are gonna, teams are gonna kind of scheme it and stop Brian and force Jayden to be more of, a passer versus an actual runner. Because he had 6 carries for 22 yards. He had a couple shots to run, but he didn't do it for whatever reason.
Ted, so let me say this. We said that there's going to come a time when that offense is not going to be as prolific as it has for these last 5 games. And so it came. How do you do better is the question. You can't always put it on the shoulder of the kid. Everyone has to play their part. And like you said, I mean, whether it was the injury with Jonathan Allen, whether it was some other issues that are going on, whether it was the special teams, letting them down, getting that block punt, or not block punt, but block field
Field
goal,
goal.
excuse me. You know, everyone, it takes truly 4 facets of football: offense, defense, special teams, and coaches. And if one is lacking, that means somebody else has got to pull their weight up. It just didn't happen yesterday. Once again, go back to the drawing board, practice harder, review more tape, so we can be in it when someone is lacking. It's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. Everyone now has 5, 6 games worth of tape of what we're going to do. So now it comes down to the coach's aspect of scheming things up better. And you're not going to do ABC type of plays against Lamar. He's been in the league too long. He's seen a lot of this stuff. So you got to do better. And that's just the point blank period.
Yeah. No, they do. They definitely do. And I'd say 3 out of those 4 things were bad this past week, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't like what the defense did. Special teams, I don't know what happened, but Seibert almost missed an extra point, right? It was like a knuckleball that went through.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, what's going on here? But hey, he's still our kicker. He's missed 1 kick. And when they lined up for that 50 whatever yarder after he had missed the one going into halftime, I was like, ooh, should we be doing this right now? But hey, he nailed that one. I mean, went
Mm-hmm.
through no problem. But being realistic, and this is from John Keim, Washington allowed a season high 13 plays that gained 15 or more yards versus the Ravens. On those plays, Baltimore gained 311 yards, right? The defense was bad on a day when the offense was bad. And you just can't have that, right? The offense didn't have its best game against the Browns, and the defense picked them up, right? We weren't rolling against the Ravens, and the defense did not tighten up. And from a defensive grade perspective, I mean, watching the game, who do you think had a good game? Just going by PFF grade.
Well, I haven't seen the grades, but who do just visually, I'm going to say Zach Ertz. Ertz
Oh,
had
just
a
offensive. Offensive. Who do you think? Sorry, defensive. Who do you think had a good game?
defense who had a good game. I don't know, brother. I got to say I don't know. Tell me who had a good game.
So they gave the highest grade to Mikey Sanders still, right? At that point.
No, okay.
And Bobby
Hmm.
Wagner on top of that. And I would agree with that. Bobby played a heck of a game and was there when he needed to be. But who didn't, and I don't want to pick on him, but it was obvious that this defensive line was having issues with stopping Derrick Henry. And everyone's got an issue stopping Derrick Henry. They gave John Allen a 48, and John's out with a pec injury right now. Hopefully, he'll be okay. But not even picking on John. Quan Martin had, I think this is his worst graded game all year at a 46. Frankie Louvu also got graded a 46. So, yeah, this is actually Quan's worst game.
Question for you. For the first time this season, I saw Defoe suit up. Did he get in play at all?
Derek Force, let me see here. He did not take a defensive snap and going back and
Okay,
taking a look.
because he suited up today or yesterday rather, and the other games that I've seen him, I want to say he was always in plain clothes. So I was surprised to see him suit up to maybe they're getting him up to speed per se.
No, he didn't take a single defensive snap. And another person that didn't take a single snap that was, I don't think he was a healthy scratch. I think Forbes, no, Forbes did not suit up, right?
Healthy scratch.
Yeah, Forbes was the
Davis
healthy scratch
Davis and
and
Forbes
Jayden.
were healthy scratch. Yeah.
And honestly, I have no problem with that because if you think about it, they're not lining up, and you mentioned it ahead, beginning of the pod, they're not lining Jamin up at linebacker. They're putting him at defensive end, or if
Mhm.
anything, they're putting him at defensive end and then doing a zone blitz and making him drop back in coverage to be a linebacker. If you would have had Forbes out there or Jamin out there, I think, and they're just getting blown up off the ball. Jamin is just too small. He's too small to be a defensive end. He's only good in like obvious pass rushing situations. So that's why they're not putting him out there. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not sure if they could have changed anything at that point, but Lamar, we sacked him 2 sacks for 15 yards. In my opinion, going back looking at those sacks from the overhead, all 22, those are coverage sacks, right?
Mhm.
And we finally actually shut their receivers down. He couldn't find anyone open. But it was a rough day all around, even though it was still a one-score game.
Well, I'm I'd rather do it this way than get blown out. That's what I'll say. If you want to look at it that way, I'd rather. I felt we went down swinging versus we didn't tuck tail and run.
We
That
did.
yeah.
You just That's all I'll say you. I just never felt that we could stop their offense. So it
Hmm.
was going to be like the Bengals game where we were going to have to go for it on third and long to try to get fourth and manageable, right? And
Yeah.
granted, we went for it on fourth down. I think we're still 100% on fourth down, right? We ended up making that one fourth down conversion, but
Keep that trend going.
good things I saw this game was how Jayden handled the pressure and how he handled just the overall game plan from the Ravens, how he handled some of the confusion that the Ravens had today. And this is actually what DQ had to say about Jayden in this game.
And I know there's no moral victories
No.
at this level, but in terms of Jayden, the fact that they score, you guys come back and
Yes.
score again, get the field goal block, and then the second half kept coming. What does that say about him and his ability to be unrattled seemingly? No
Yeah, I
matter what?
loved, like answers, and so you don't wait for a long time to do that. Again, at the end of the half, we thought we had a chance to go down, get a stop, get a 2 minute together, go down, take a shot to get the ball back again. So in those moments, Ben, he is really strong and really comfortable in that spot. We've, as a team, practiced a lot of those situations a bunch, and it shows.
So if I'm taking one highlight from this, it's seeing how, and I think sometimes we as fans forget that he's a rookie.
Yeah.
But seeing how this rookie stood up against this Ravens team, and you mentioned it earlier, 2/3 of our roster is new, right? How this rookie stood up against a Ravens team that has been together for a very, very, very long time. And yes, they've got a new coordinator, but these players, these Ravens players, they've been together for a while. And I think you got a couple quotes from some of them about their thoughts on Jayden.
Oh yeah. The thing about Baltimore is, yeah, they got a new offensive coordinator, but their nucleus is the same, except for obviously the added piece of Derrick Henry. But I got to tell you, Lamar Jackson, hat goes off to him. Lamar had some excellent words for Jayden, and I'm going to just read this to you. And this is from Lamar Jackson. I believe Jayden Daniels deserves all the hype he's getting. He's played a tremendous game out there. They just came up short. He's been proving it his rookie season. First 6 games, he's been playing amazing. That goes from Lamar Jackson. And from linebacker Roquan Smith. Roquan says, Washington is in good hands with Jayden Daniels. I think the guy he's the truth, for sure. He can run it. He can throw it. Whatever you want. And for him to come into a hostile environment and perform the way that he did, I've got much respect for him. He took some licks too. So the guy, I heard he was tough as nails anyway. And even from watching him in college at a couple games, but he showed that so much respect and love for that guy. And yes, Washington is in good hands. You can't ask for any more. And everyone that we've played has basically, in some shape, form, or fashion, said those exact same words. Look at what happened in Cincinnati. Oh, they run a college offense. That college offense torched them. I mean, look at what happened Arizona. He's a rookie. Hey, the fact is, he's seen it, and I keep saying that these VR glasses must be doing wonders for him, and I love it. So all we can do is just continue to get better and better and better. I will ask you a question, Ted, and maybe you can answer this, and maybe our listeners can answer this. Something that bothers me. What bothers me is I see Jayden do the huddle signal call
Yeah.
for everybody to huddle. But it always seems as though there's two receivers who are still somewhere
Standing
out.
out.
Yeah, and they aren't huddled up. Can you explain that to me? I mean, is it he gives I guess a six signal or a five signal or whatever have you, or the route possibly, and they don't need to come to the huddle? I mean,
Yeah,
help me.
they already know where they're going to be going on that route. Usually it's an option route based upon what they're getting from a defensive alignment perspective. In an option route, there's two possible routes the receiver will run based upon where the defensive lined up. And they were trying to go more up tempo at that point, and you're at a disadvantage if your receiver's got to go all the way back out and line up again. And there were some fans that were getting pissed off about the referee or the ump, whatever the hell the guy is, the zebra, not getting out of the way to allow us to snap the ball. If we make substitutions, then the defense has to be able to make their substitutions. It is a
Hmm.
rule. You cannot just make subs and then not let them get subs in either. I think it's a stupid rule, but it's a rule at that point. So a couple times the play clock got down to 3 before the zebra got out of the way, and then you got guys yelling and screaming like, "What the hell? What the hell?" Nothing we can do about it, right? Get the subs in faster at that point, but that just it is
Yeah,
what it is. So
yeah.
that's I mean, I know why people aren't upset, but when I was walking back to the car, I'm talking to Mrs. Tailgate on the phone because I'm trying to not get into an argument with people as I'm walking. And actually, I didn't have a problem when I was in Baltimore. I don't know if it's because I look angrier than I did back in the day, and maybe people just don't want to mess with me or whatever it may be. I did see a younger Washington fan that literally had a bottle of water up to the side of his head, and he was standing there with a police officer because he had just gotten, I don't know if he started or whatever happened. He's the only person I saw, and he was bleeding
Uh,
at them. So I was just, I got my head on a swivel and I was talking to Mrs. Tailgate. She's like, "Man, you sound down. You sound upset." It's like Tony Rowe, because she was watching on TV. It's like, "They said you guys did well." It's like, we lost the game. So it's hard for me to be okay with a loss. And I know you're not okay with the loss, but I'm saying it's hard for me to be like, you know what? We did okay, right? We stood toe to toe with the guys that were in the AFC Championship game. So, I guess we should all be okay with this. But I guess I am okay with the fact that that's validation from a Super Bowl contender Roquan saying he's the truth. We all heard John Allen say that Jaden's the answer.
mhm.
Obviously, there's biasness in there. We hear our media here, and I'm not going to say our media skews things, but they're obviously pandering to their audience. But
Oh yeah,
hearing other teams' perspective on our team gives us validation on how we feel, if that makes sense.
it does. It makes a lot of sense, and they, to a degree, they have to do that, and I understand. because they don't want just the drab, glum news. That wouldn't be nice, healthy reporting. So they want you to be able to come back to tune in for the next segment. But I I like the direction that the team is going,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna leave it at that. And I think that everyone else is the same way. We would have loved to have the dub underneath our belt. We would have had Ruth Chris victory steak,
Ugh.
but the fact
I had a
is,
hall pass to go. I
yeah.
wanted to so bad.
Oh, brother, I can taste it. I can taste it. But we like the direction and where we're going, and we can only get better. And I believe that the coaches will have the team ready uh, to get ready for these next opponents that are coming up. And as a fan, my job is to get everyone up as well. And the only thing that you said leaving the stadium, the only thing that I do is I cover my chain up because I've had so many people tell me, "Oh, they're gonna take it from me, or they're gonna, do some whatever have you." They never do by chance, but in game they like to talk a lot of trash, and you know, my ig game is on 1,000. So for those who don't know what the ig game is, my ignore game, so to speak, is on 1,000. So you could say something to me, and I won't even pay you any mind. I just won't. So you're not going to get a reaction out of me. You just won't. But I do cover my chain because that's just a smart thing to do. People they love to have trophies, if you will.
Oh yeah.
So so and I remember in the '80s, it was a badge of honor to not for me per se, but it was a badge of honor to snatch somebody's chain, and run off. So it ain't happening. So that's just how it is. So yeah, I cover it up, and I don't have any problems.
Yeah, no, you've never had an issue, but yeah,
Nah.
it's just, I guess for me, if I have to take two positives away from this game, it's the fact that, and this always cracked me up. The team, if you're a season ticket holder, or maybe even if you're not, but if you went to a game, and oh, by the way, I confirm from the team that there are season tickets still available. They have actually had people coming to the stadium at that point, just buying season tickets. So if you guys want to get season tickets and you want to get playoff tickets, guaranteed, go get them at that point. They told me to tell you guys to call the ticket office. I think it's 301-276. I don't remember. Just look it up. It's on.
Yeah.
Ask Google.
Google.
Ask
Yeah,
Bob Google.
Google Commanders season tickets or ticket box office, and you'll get the number. And shout goes out to Claire. I want to say Dominic.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
I
who you're talking about.
don't want to butcher your last name, but Claire, I saw her Sunday in Baltimore, and she says her phone is ringing off the hook.
That's
So,
awesome.
she doesn't have to make any more freaking cold phone calls for people to become season tickets. They're calling her. So keep up the great work, guys, because we're on a rise. You guys feel it. This isn't a misery Monday. It's not necessarily even a feel bad Monday. It's just a Monday. That's what it is. It's a Monday. So we're going to continue on supporting our squad the only way that we know how to for the next victory. Point blank, period. I told you guys, and I will continue to tell you, when you lose, you have to have a short memory. Well, we're going to just deal with this for today and maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. We still want to, cry over spilled milk, so to speak. But after that, no, you let it go and you move on for the next opponent.
To me, you got to learn something from a loss. It can't be a meaningless loss. And the team used to send, and they send surveys out after the games. And it's about the game day environment. How was parking? How was tailgating? How was concessions? How was security? And then some of the questions are, do you like the direction the team is going? What are your thoughts? And you grade 1 to 10. And I always thought that was kind of funny, right? That you're adding this in here. And you're sending it to me after a loss, not just after a win. So I'm sure that it was overly negative with people saying that. But I'm going to have to say, yes, I love the direction that this is going right now because of Jayden, because
Hmm.
of the young talent we have on this team, right? We talked about the PFF grade, who had the highest grade
Hmm.
on defense. A kid on our side had the highest grade on defense, right? And I have faith that Adam Peters is doing what we need to do to be the Baltimore Ravens of the NFC, to have sustained success for a very long time. There are just some pieces that we have to clean up from past regimes, like an Emmanuel Forbes, like a Jamin Davis, who were first round picks that should be contributing, but are healthy scratches. And you cannot have a first round pick from your team be a healthy scratch and expect to be a truly, truly competitive team against other competitive teams.
Yeah, you said healthy scratch, not injured, healthy scratch. And if you're a first round pick and you're a healthy scratch, that speaks volumes. It really does. And we need to take care of that. And we will. We will. Don't fret, guys. Don't fret. We said that he's not always going to have the best game, and the team's not always going to have the best game. Bounce back. Bounce
So,
back.
what's your positive takeaway? What's your lesson from this loss?
My lesson is study a little harder, practice a little harder, read your keys a little better, so that when you see that play forming, you know in your mind, I know how to stop it, because you put in the work through the week, film study, to be able to pick it out and recognize it. That's my key. You get better. We're there. I mean, we're not there yet, but you feel what I'm saying? We're getting there. So continue to do better. And when you have a lack of talent, you got to do better in other aspects of the game.
Yeah.
Whether you got to be more physical or more mental, you got to do something when you have a lack of talent.
And I think I told this story a long time ago, but Trey Johnson's a friend. I used to do a show at the Gene Upshaw building, NFL Player Association building, with Trey. And I remember Trey telling me he got hurt, right? And those that don't remember Trey, Trey was a freaking mauler. I mean, an amazing offensive tackle for us, and then shifted to guard. But once he realized that he wasn't the strongest guy out there, or once he lost a step, he sat in that film room longer to look at tendencies, because he had to pick up the slack at that point. And I think that's what Rally's talking about, right? You know that we've got a bruiser like Derrick Henry we got to go up against. You've got a guy like Lamar we got to go up against. Then we got to spend more time preparing and looking for those tendencies, what we got to do. This was actually Jayden's positive takeaway from the game.
Most positive takeaway this afternoon for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're right there. We're never going to give up. We're competing. We're fighting. Move on to the next.
We are right there. And the fact that the kid recognizes that and he sees that, I mean, is why I have hope that this was just a bump in the road. We weren't going to go undefeated, right? There was no way that was going to happen. But it's good teams bounce back from losses even stronger. We saw what happened when we lost to the Bucks, right? We went on a 4-game win streak. I'm not going to say that's what's going to happen now, but now is when we see the character of this team. And we've been talking about it. Things are good right now. We're on a 4-game high. We're breaking records left and right. How does this team react once they hit a bump in the road? And that will be finally when we can actually see what their character is and what the culture is that they've been trying to build.
Yeah, man. Hit it right there on the head.
So for you, who doesn't get a day off this week? Who has to still go in on Tuesday and actually watch some more film, maybe against, Andy Dalton, since he's going to be the one throwing the ball or whatever?
I'm going to say our secondary. I'm going to say our secondary has to look at those tendencies, and probably the front four. So the defensive side is they've got to come together, because obviously we probably are going to be missing a piece. I don't want us to, but it sounds like what happened to Jonathan is pretty serious. So if that's the case, you guys have got to get in the film room, and you got to doggone, start eating each other's lunches and bonding all over again or something. It's have sleepovers. I don't know what you got to do, but we're coming up against another even though they don't look as though they're that good, they're an NFL team who can come in and shock you. So you guys have got to get that bond together and open the lines of communication to get better. What about you?
For me, first, offensively, OZ. I need OZ to sit there on his day off and hang out with that jugs machine, because he had a couple of key drops that definitely hurt us.
Yeah.
Just bad time to not be able to hold on to that ball. He was our second lowest graded wide receiver. Luke McCaffrey was the lowest, but OZ just drop-wise, he had a 41.6. It hurt. And next, it's got to be, to me, that front line. I need more out of those guys, and we've said it plenty of time. And actually, Doc Walker almost got into I've never seen Doc lose it on a caller, but he almost lost it on a guy during the postgame show, because the guy basically said that Doc had stood up for Deron Payne and John Allen. And Doc said, "You didn't hear that out of my voice. I didn't say that. That didn't come out of my mouth." He's like, "Well, you did." He's like, "In the past." Doc said, "Yeah, in the past, but not now. They're just not earning it." And I don't want to knock a guy while he's injured, while he's down. But Johnny's stepping up. I mean, the younger guys are stepping up, and maybe some of the other guys need to, step up as well, because we're letting teams run all over us, and we cannot do that. And it's a copycat league, and I'm not going to be surprised if Carolina, everyone is saying, it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy because we're 8-point favorites. There is no such thing as easy in the NFL, and it changes week to week. And they're going to watch and see what happened to us. The fact that the Ravens put up a $176, 484 yards we gave up on offense. So we got to make sure that those guys, maybe they skip the off day and they hang out in that locker room and the weight room and the film room a little bit longer.
Yep, I totally agree with you. And as the song says, we basically are on to the next one. Thank you guys for riding with us. It's been a pleasure. Like, share, subscribe. And I don't know about you, but I had to have a don't sleep energy drink, because that traffic that I sat in put me to sleep basically, and that what kept me going. It really did. So remember, you rep it hard, or you don't rep it at all. Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain. On to the next one.